When you grow old, 5 types of relatives to keep your distance from, especially the 5th type. As we grow older, life naturally shifts towards a greater focus on peace, fulfillment, and the quality of the relationships around us. Family often plays a pivotal role in shaping our emotional landscape, providing love, shared history, and meaningful connections. However, not all family relationships are equally supportive or nurturing. Some may unintentionally, or even deliberately, undermine the tranquility and contentment you've worked hard to cultivate. With age comes wisdom, and part of that wisdom involves learning to recognize patterns in relationships that might disrupt your peace. Certain family dynamics can be emotionally draining or stressful, and maintaining healthy boundaries with these individuals becomes an essential step towards safeguarding your well-being. This is not about severing ties or holding grudges, but about prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health. Recognizing which relationships add value to your life and which deplete it is key to ensuring your later years are defined by joy and serenity. In this video, or discussion, we will explore 5 types of relatives to consider keeping a comfortable distance from. Each type poses unique challenges that can interfere with your happiness and peace of mind. Pay special attention to the 5th type. It may surprise you how impactful this dynamic can be. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now let's dive in. 1. The perpetual critic. We all have that one relative who seems to have an opinion about everything, and rarely are those opinions positive. The perpetual critic thrives on finding faults, whether it's about your life choices, appearance, or the way you choose to spend your time. While constructive criticism can be helpful, this person's comments are rarely offered with good intentions. Instead, their words often aim to belittle, control, or impose their standards on you. As you grow older, your priorities shift. You no longer need to prove yourself or fit into someone else's mold of perfection. Allowing the constant negativity of a critical relative to overshadow your personal journey can be draining. It's vital to distinguish between criticism that's meant to help and that which merely tears you down. If you find yourself walking on eggshells or feeling inadequate after interactions with this relative, it's time to take a step back. Distance doesn't mean you care less about them. It means you care more about yourself and the peace you deserve. Establish boundaries, and don't hesitate to limit conversations to neutral or light-hearted topics. Life is too short to dwell in someone else's negativity. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your strengths rather than magnify your flaws. 2. The chronic complainer. The chronic complainer is the relative who always has something to grumble about. Whether it's the weather, their job, their health, or the state of the world, their conversations are dominated by endless negativity. They rarely seek solutions to their problems, preferring instead to vent and dwell on them. At first, you might feel sympathy for this person, wanting to offer comfort or solutions. However, over time, their constant negativity can drain your energy and cast a shadow over your own mood. Their complaints become a vortex, pulling you into a space where optimism struggles to survive. The key to dealing with a chronic complainer is setting emotional boundaries. Recognize that you are not responsible for fixing their problems or shouldering their emotional burden. Politely steer conversations toward more positive or neutral topics. If they persist, limit the time you spend with them. It's okay to empathize, but don't allow their endless grievances to consume your mental space. You deserve to protect your emotional well-being, especially when negativity starts to affect your outlook on life. Remember, not every problem needs your attention, and not every complaint deserves your energy. 3. The know-it-all. The know-it-all is the relative who always has the right answer to every question, the best solution to every problem, and a never-ending stream of unsolicited advice. Whether the topic is politics, health, or the latest technology, they position themselves as the ultimate authority. While their vast knowledge might be impressive, their delivery can often come across as condescending or dismissive of other perspectives. Engaging in discussions with them can feel less like a conversation and more like a lecture. Even when they're incorrect, their confidence can make it challenging to counter their assertions without sparking tension. Handling a know-it-all requires a balance of patience and strategy. You don't have to challenge everything they say. Instead, acknowledge their viewpoint with phrases like, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I hadn't thought of it that way." This validates their need to feel heard without agreeing outright. When their advice becomes overbearing, redirect the conversation by shifting the focus to something lighter or unrelated. You can also gently remind them that everyone has different experiences and opinions, creating space for other voices in the dialogue. Above all, remember that you don't have to prove them wrong or engage in a battle of wits. Sometimes, letting them believe they've won is the easiest way to maintain peace without compromising your own boundaries. 4. The drama queen/king. The drama queen or king is the relative who can turn any small issue into a major catastrophe. Whether it's a minor inconvenience or a slight misunderstanding, they react with such intensity and emotion that it feels like the world is on the verge of falling apart. Their over-the-top reactions can be exhausting, and you may find yourself walking on eggshells just to avoid triggering an emotional outburst. Dealing with this type of relative requires a high degree of emotional intelligence. When they begin to spiral, it's important to stay calm and avoid getting swept up in the drama. Responding with empathy can help, but it's also crucial to set boundaries. You can say things like, "I understand you're upset, but let's take a step back and talk about this rationally." Or, "I hear you, but I think we're blowing this out of proportion." One of the most effective strategies for handling a drama queen/king is to redirect their focus. Instead of feeding into their emotional state, try to shift the conversation to something more neutral or lighthearted. This can help de-escalate the situation and create a safer emotional environment for everyone involved. However, be prepared for them to possibly feel misunderstood or ignored. It's essential to stand firm in your boundaries and avoid getting emotionally entangled in their high drama. Recognizing that their reactions are often exaggerated can help you remain detached and not take things personally. Ultimately, your goal should be to provide a sense of calm and perspective in the chaos, but not at the expense of your own emotional well-being. 5. The critic. The critic is the relative who always seems to have something negative to say. Whether it's about your life choices, career path, appearance, or even the food you make, nothing is ever quite right in their eyes. They are quick to offer unsolicited opinions, often without consideration for your feelings. Navigating interactions with a critic requires resilience and self-confidence. Their comments can be hurtful, but it's important to remember that their judgments often stem from their own insecurities or need for control. When dealing with this type of relative, try to stay grounded and not let their criticisms affect your sense of self-worth. One strategy for managing the critic is to establish clear boundaries. You can say things like, "I appreciate your opinion, but I don't need advice on this right now." Or, "I prefer to make my own decisions about my life." By setting these boundaries, you communicate that their unsolicited critiques are unwelcome. If the critic's behavior is persistent or escalates, it may be necessary to take a step back from the relationship. While it's always best to try to maintain family ties, your mental health and well-being should come first. It's okay to distance yourself from someone who consistently makes you feel small or undermines your confidence. For family members who are close to you, a direct and compassionate conversation may help. Let them know how their comments affect you, and explain that you'd appreciate more support and understanding. If the critic is open to change, this could help improve your relationship. However, if they dismiss your feelings, it may be necessary to limit your interactions with them for your own peace of mind. Bonus roles for family dynamics expanded. The rescuer. The rescuer is a person who derives their sense of value and identity from helping others, often stepping in to save family members from perceived or real problems. This role is rooted in a strong desire to feel needed and to prevent others from experiencing pain, failure, or hardship. While the rescuer's intentions often stem from genuine care and concern, their actions can sometimes create unintended consequences that undermine the independence of others and perpetuate unhealthy dynamics within the family. In practice, the rescuer might go to great lengths to solve problems for their siblings, children, or parents, even when those individuals are capable of solving them independently. For example, A rescuer might take on financial burdens for a sibling without expecting repayment, or they may constantly intervene in conflicts to avoid tension, even when it would be more productive for the parties involved to resolve the issues themselves. This behavior can lead to dependency, where others come to rely on the rescuer instead of learning to navigate challenges on their own. Over time, the rescuer might experience burnout, frustration, and even resentment, as their efforts are often taken for granted or fail to yield the results they hoped for. This can create a vicious cycle where the rescuer feels compelled to do even more, reinforcing their role and deepening their emotional and physical exhaustion. To break free from the rescuer role, it is important to acknowledge the motivations behind their behavior and recognize the value of stepping back. Rescuers must learn to trust others to handle their own challenges and embrace the idea that allowing loved ones to experience struggle can be a necessary part of growth. Establishing clear boundaries, practicing self-care, and seeking support from trusted friends or professionals can help rescuers transition into healthier patterns of behavior. The manipulator. The manipulator is a family member who seeks to influence or control situations to serve their interests, often employing tactics like deception, emotional blackmail, or exaggeration to achieve their goals. This role can emerge as a defense mechanism, often rooted in fear, insecurity, or a desire to maintain power in a family dynamic that feels unpredictable or threatening. While the manipulator might appear confident and in control, their actions often stem from unresolved feelings of vulnerability or a lack of trust in others. Manipulators often use subtle tactics to maintain control, such as playing family members against one another, withholding key information, or exploiting others' emotions to get what they want. For example, a manipulator might feign victimhood to garner sympathy, twist conversations to deflect blame, or use secrets as leverage to maintain an advantage in disputes. This behavior not only creates tension and mistrust within the family but can also isolate the manipulator themselves, as their actions alienate others over time. The impact of the manipulator's role can be deeply harmful. Family members may feel confused, betrayed, or trapped in toxic dynamics, struggling to discern truth from manipulation. Relationships may deteriorate as individuals lose trust in one another, creating an environment of constant tension and suspicion. Addressing the manipulator role requires a combination of accountability, communication, and boundaries. Family members must learn to recognize manipulative behaviors and confront them calmly and assertively, refusing to engage in unhealthy patterns. Therapy or counseling can provide a neutral space for the family to unpack the dynamics at play and work towards healthier relationships. For the manipulator, developing self-awareness and practicing vulnerability can be transformative, helping them replace manipulative tactics with genuine communication and trust building. Conclusion. The importance of nurturing healthy and supportive relationships becomes even more evident. While family bonds can provide comfort, history, and shared memories, not all connections are beneficial to our emotional and mental well-being. Recognizing and maintaining boundaries with relatives who bring negativity, manipulation, or imbalance into your life is an essential step toward preserving your peace and joy in your later years. Whether it's distancing yourself from constant complainers, manipulative critics, or envious individuals, these choices reflect self-respect and a commitment to prioritizing your happiness. By creating space from draining relationships and focusing on meaningful, uplifting connections, you allow yourself to embrace this stage of life with the serenity and fulfillment you deserve. Your later years are a time to celebrate your achievements, cherish positive relationships, and enjoy the tranquility you've worked so hard to attain. Choose wisely who you allow into this sacred space, ensuring that your life is filled with mutual respect, love, and genuine support.